The argument could be made that I have more than a passing interest in this brand. The Regular Beer Project looks at Schlitz, the beer that made Milwaukee famous, made with just a kiss of the hops, introduced in 1849, 4.7% alcohol, brewed with Mount Hood, Cascade, and Willamette hops. Okay, I bought this at a local store. You'll find it around. In Louisiana, we basically get the 12-ounce cans and the 16-ounce cans. Good through August 4th, 2014. It's contract brewed by Miller, and Miller will always give you the best by date. I'm hiding my face so I can show you all my junk. Okay, anyway, got my Schlitz shirt on with the awesome embroidered Schlitz globe. Okay, anyhow, introduced in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and today produced in Milwaukee, Wisconsin by Miller Brewing Company. Schlitz is the third oldest beer brand in the United States. The first being Schaefer, 1842. The second being Pabst Blue Ribbon, 1844, and Schlitz, 1849. I know Yuengling says they're, but if you look at Yuengling carefully, they say they're the oldest brewing company. None of their brands do they claim are the oldest actual brand. Okay, so they're careful about that. But the Schlitz is the third oldest brand of beer continuous since 1849, except for Prohibition, which we know about that. Okay. What do you get with Schlitz? Well, of course you get a standard beer aroma, right? It's not like it's gonna knock your socks off. Unusual. But I've always been fascinated by Schlitz because I pretty much grew up with this, and I remember as a little kid hearing about Go for the Gustos and all the magazines on TV all the time. So I mean, it's sort of one of those, I guess somebody called it a legacy brand. Sweet, barley malt, probably a little corn. Schlitz always did have, to me, a little bit, and I mean a little bit hoppier flavor, but not what you would call, by any stretch of the imagination, a hoppy beer. Interesting history. Until 1976, believe it or not, it was the number 2 selling beer brand in the United States. Okay, from the 50s, at one time it was the top beer brand. Pabst passed it up. Then Budweiser eventually passed up Pabst, and then so it was from the late 50s to the 70s. It was Budweiser number 1, Schlitz number 2. And I mean, they went toe to toe, running TV ads, magazine ads, everything all the time, endlessly. But in a battle, there's going to have to be a winner, right? So in the 70s, Schlitz started to slip. And they could see that things were starting to go downhill a little bit. So they decided, what can we do? Okay, they got this idea. We're gonna, and they always had this careful, and they used to tout this in the ads, over 1,000 steps in brewing one Schlitz beer. I think it was like 1,100 steps. But they got this idea they're gonna make a shortcut, okay? And there was this chemical they could put in the beer that would speed up the brewing process, okay? Some guy tells them, yeah, you can save money with this stuff, okay? So they started adding it, and it did speed up the process, so it saved them a lot of money. One little problem. I can't remember the name of this chemical. They kept adding more of it. And then by 1976, the consumers started noticing, what is this like ribbon of film throughout the beer? It was like this, it didn't change the taste, but it gave it this ribbon of film, and it looked like, what's wrong? What's this slime in my beer? Well, they realized, oh Lord, oh Lord, They used to talk about this on the Schlitz website, but I noticed they deleted this part of the history. They had to dump 500,000 barrels of Schlitz beer into the drains in Tampa, Florida, where they had this huge brand new brewery. It came out on the news that they were doing this. I mean, what a disaster. And that was 1976, and everything started to crumble after that. Natural ice came out, natural light beer came out the next year, 77. By Anheuser-Busch to say, hey, it's all natural, it's all natural. They were hitting Miller Lite and Schlitz in the mouth with that because they had been exposed to adding chemicals. So Schlitz said, oh Lord. So they fired the guy, our heads were rolling everywhere. They hired this new brewmaster, Seligman, and they said, get the stuff straight. So in 1977, they came out with the corrected Schlitz, which ran until 2010, maybe 11, depending, but at least till 2010. They got it straight. They cut the crap, and they started. Well, then now they got to recover, right? So they start running all these TV ads, if you notice, saying, "Drink today's Schlitz. It's all natural. We don't play around with it." You know, trying to say, "Please come back to us," but it was too late, and they were already in trouble, right? So it just kept going downhill. They sponsored Van Halen, Schlitz Malt Liquor Line, sponsored Van Halen's first world tour in 1978. Van Halen was promoting Schlitz Malt Liquor until 84. Then they got in there and promoted the Who's tour, Schlitz Rock America tour, 1982, big promotion for that, but it was just too much debt load. And so in 1982, Stroh's bought Schlitz out. And that buyout actually brought Stroh's down because they bought out Schaefer, and the year later, 82 Schlitz, and they could not ever make enough money to pay the debt off. So in 1999, 17 years later, Pabst swooped in and bought up all of them. But it's a Pabst brand today. There was a lot of mythology about this whole episode, and whether or not it was true that Schlitz used to taste better in the 60s. We don't really know because the company was in such disarray. They even lost the formula. Pabst went looking through the records. They didn't have any records. They couldn't even find the recipe for the messing around with it Schlitz. So they just got together with some old guys and said, what do you think they made it like? And some guys that used to work for Schlitz, and in 2007 they came out with the Schlitz Gusto, where they tried to recreate the original Schlitz before they screwed with it. And if you ever look carefully, they don't say it is the recipe. They say it was an attempt to make it like the 60s recipe. I think they did a good job with it, although I think the 1977 to 2011 version was very good. It got good scores. The current version, I wouldn't say it's better, but it is very good. Unfortunately, the brand is still sort of in the gutter, so to speak. I mean, it's not popular. We have it at the grocery store here in La Place, at more than one grocery store, and people will ask me, they don't make that anymore, do they? And I'll tell them, look on the shelf here. Of course, I got the Schlitz Malt Liquor line over here. Oh, I do miss Schlitz Ice. It was such a quaint little beer. Almost had a heart attack when I saw this beer in 1999 at Specs in Houston, Texas. 12-ounce bottle, beautiful bottle with that cap. I mean, I gasped. When I saw this on the shelf, the 6-pack, I thought I would have a nervous breakdown. As you can imagine, I immediately bought it. One of my most cherished bottles. Just couldn't get over it. I love these cans they had. This was a 1995 World War II commemorative can. And they tried to make it in the design of what they had in World War II. Awesome. Oh yeah, I saw this at a store and I immediately bought it. It's great. And then this was their 2007 rollout with the cream color, which is sort of a theme with Schlitz cream color. They got away from the cream in the 70s. Schlitz glass, Schlitz glass, Schlitz glass, Schlitz light, which Came out in 1975, was discontinued in 2010. I used to buy that for people that like light beer. They would roll their eyes. It's like, why the hell are you buying this? Even though, of course, it was as good as any of the other light beers. Just, you know, perception clouds a lot of people's appreciation of beer. Anyhow, what can we say about it? It's good to drink. I think we have an examination coming up with more than just me blabbing, and that'll be exciting. Here's some old stuff, you know, from 1977, All Our Best. Taste Today's Schlitz, 1981. That's what, see what I mean? Taste Today's Schlitz. It's not full of chemicals like when we screwed it up. Pro Football God. Team Up with Schlitz. This is when they came out with their red, I call it their red can in 82. And I was so stupid. I had a chance to buy one and I didn't. I said, I'll just get it next week. And next week it was gone. I never lived that down. 1982 first draft pick, Schlitz, right before the buyout. People will say, you don't know how to pour beer. Yeah, well, actually, and I drew all over this thing as a child. I was like 13 years old and drawing all over it. I didn't know Schlitz was about to get bought out. They had beautiful bottles, though. These gold. And then look at that Shroud bottle. I mean, golly, what you would do to get one of those, huh? Like the Michelob style bottle. I'd burst into tears if somebody brought that to me. This is a really good book because it's all about the history of pro football, but it also, you know, see the Schlitz bottles? Holy moly. But, oh, here's a good picture of it. I mean, that's beyond belief. Let me turn this around for a second. Damnation. So I want to take a photo of that and put that on Facebook. Not to say anybody's interested, but I'm obsessed with it. You know, in a healthy way. I think it's healthy. I think it's healthy. All right, anyhow. People will tell me, you don't know how to pour beer, you bastard. Well, wait a minute. First of all, if you're going to suggest that somebody learn how to pour beer, why don't you try to be nice about it, have a good attitude. But look what this says. Beer always tastes better when poured into a glass or mug. Okay, we know that. They're absolutely right. When you pour beer into a glass, it should produce a head or collar of foam. This head releases aroma and flavor that adds to your enjoyment. Okay, get on the Anheuser-Busch website. They also talk about how you want to pour beer aggressively into a glass, straight in, and produce a thick head because it releases esters, which are flavors. I mean aromas, sorry. So, I don't want to get into that controversy again. I've made a whole video about pouring beer. I have stuff to back me up. If you don't believe me, look on the Michelob website. The brewmaster talks about how to pour the lager beers. So I don't want to start going into all that. But anyway, thank you for watching. If you could stand it, it's long. I could just talk about Schlitz for hours. But anyway, thank you. Thank you for watching this video production.